Hey guys, we're back in the garage today working on the 1932 Aston Martin CycleKart. And today's project we're going to be doing some motor upgrades. We're going to be adding a new flywheel so we can add electricity to this thing and a battery to power the brakes and tail lights. We're also going to be doing the Stage 2 hop-up kit from NR Racing. So let me show you what we got going on. So this is what we're working with. It's a Predator 212. This is an older version. It is not the Hemi, it's a standard overhead version, and it's pretty crusty and old. I did just go clean it off with a little bit of brake cleaner, but there was a bit of oil staining here, so I'm thinking this gasket's leaking, and I forgot to order a gasket, so I may be stopped when I do the governor removal, but we'll get to that later. So to go over the stuff I've got from NR Racing, so I got a throttle cable, we got the good gold chain number 35. The hop-up kit comes with a smaller fan. It comes with the 8-degree timing key. It comes with an upgraded carburetor. You can choose a couple different ones. This one is the 0.65 board clone carburetor for the Predator. And it comes with the choke piece. It comes with an air cleaner and the air cleaner adapter. I decided to, because I'm deleting the governor, we're going to need a way to hook the throttle up. So I've got this throttle plate that hooks on the front of the motor. I've got this on my Honda. It works great. When you delete this, all this stuff here, there's a air cleaner or air filter that needs to go to the valve cover, and so that's what this is. It relocates, it puts an proper air cleaner on the valve cover. That's actually a fairly heavy piece. I haven't opened that up yet, so that's going to be interesting. First time I've used that. It comes with, the kit comes with a gasket for the valve cover and new springs. I'm probably not going to put the springs in. I did that on my Honda, and I don't really think there's any advantage on a CycleKart. We're not turning that many RPMs for that to be an issue. And it comes, you can choose a header. So I chose a header and a muffler, and probably going to cut this up and use it for a source part for what I'm going to do. So I'm going to relocate this, but this is just a kind of a beginning point. So this is from NR Racing, and if you haven't bought from NR Racing, they're a great company. They specialize in performance parts for these type of motors, Hondas and Predators. And so here's all the parts I got. So the top section is all that Stage 2, where it sees all the zero prices. That's all the stuff that comes with that kit. Okay, so kind of get an idea what you get. So you do have to make a few choices. So this is just how I outfitted mine. And then they did call me and change this to a 5/16 or inch 5/16 RLV muffler. They were out of the other one, which was a 1-inch muffler, which is fine. Just has a bigger opening here, which all that means is when I cut this apart, I have to keep this part to mount the muffler to it. So as long as I keep this little section here, I can mount this to, this is 1-inch piping here, so it gets bigger at the end. I don't know what that does for performance. It makes it louder maybe, I'm not really sure. So there's the throttle sleeve. I'm not sure exactly how long that is. I think it was like 65 or 70 inches. The linkage, the header, the master link you have to buy separately. So you gotta, don't forget when you buy a chain you gotta get a master link to go with it, because I don't think they come with it. So. And if you don't have a chain breaker, you'll need a chain breaker for that. I already got one, so I didn't order one new. And then the chain, I got the RLV Extreme Gold on black, a couple different versions of that, and really the difference is in price primarily. And I ordered it by the foot, so I think I got 4 feet, I think. And then I don't know if there's anything on the second page other than maybe the total. No, I guess that was it. So subtotal 257, and then with freight, about 270 bucks. So, you know, you don't have to do all this I just did. You could run the stock motor. But I'm electing to make some upgrades. We're going to take the motor apart anyway to put that different flywheel in it, so that was required. So the flywheel and all that jazz I got from Powersports. So we got a battery cover. It's going to go on top of it, a battery hold down, and I'm going to have to make a battery tray, but there's a little rubber pad that goes underneath it to keep your battery from bouncing around too much. We've got the regulator, we've got the coils, and then we've also got the proper design. It's got a charging coil, so it's got 2 different magnets on it. Well, the single magnet one that comes on your car or on your motor will sort of create a pulse. With 2 of them, it gives you kind of more standard power. And actually, let me find the receipt, because I got this from someplace else. Okay, so this is the receipt. This actually came from Amazon. This is the flywheel with charging coil. So it's a flywheel and it comes with the 2 charging coils. So there should be a boss already in there to mount this up. all the videos I've seen online, it says that that's the case. So here's the kind of what it looks like. This is where it's kind of cut off here, but that's the item. And by all accounts, this is supposed to just be a bolt-on affair, not too much drama. Hopefully that is the case. So while we got the motor apart, we're going to do the timing key anyway. I decided instead of just putting a different flywheel or the stock flywheel back on, I'm going to upgrade it so we can do the charging coils, run a battery, which I'm told is not totally necessary, but I decided, you know what, might as well, while we're here, do it. It's not a whole lot of money to do that upgrade. There's lots of videos online on how to do all these things. I'm just going to really quickly go through it and how it relates to cycle karting. So carrying on. Apparently I've been talking to myself for a little while, so to get this off, you got to take the tank out of the way. To get the tank out of the way, you got to take this off. So everything's coming off this motor anyway, so it doesn't really matter. Some of these nuts are really frozen. I'll get violent with them here and there. There we go. This has never been off, and it's been sitting out in a little bit of weather. It's not happy. So this part is not being reused. We're deleting that, so that's going to make the motor a lot easier to work on. Take that out of the way. Take that out of the way. Try to get the fuel line out. Actually, we can get to this bolt now, so I can get this out of the way. What beside that was a 9mm, 8mm. And I don't have an 8mm socket for some reason. Okay, so there's that. We are going to reuse that bit, so those go together with those four. That's going to get this out of the way. So this is all hooked to this thing, which is all coming off. So I'll get that out of the way. Take that spring off of there. Okay, don't need that. Fuel tank can come off. All right, so there's that. All right, now we can get to everything. So all this is going to come off. This is going to come off. Yeah, so that's good. So let's get this thing taken apart. Next thing to do is to get this off of here. Let me find the bolt I need for that. Nope. Nope, nope, those are way too long. Well, it's smaller than I think it is. Oh, okay, hang on. Okay, so that is a 19mm. So I have an impact wrench, but I really don't want to get it out. So we'll do something different. Some guys say you're supposed to, hold it all in place and all that jazz, but I don't think we really need to do that. This is a pretty high torque tool. Got a melt shaving in my phone. See if this works. Nope, that didn't work. Make me bolt it to the ground, to the table. Start the motor. All right, I guess it's not working.
I don't think that's how you do it.
I'm gonna have to use an impact wrench. All right. Ha! That much easier. Press the easy button. Air conditioner back on. So to get this off, you apply a little bit of pressure to the flywheel. Put your nut back on so you don't destroy your threads, and give it a few taps and it should pop off. Well. Like everything else, this thing's maybe frozen on there. There it goes. Okay, so that's off, and there's your flywheel. See, it's only got one magnet on it, so the next one's going to have two magnets. Or actually, they're going to be internal, so that's a good thing. So there's the old timing key right here. It's just a straight timing key. fact, it's kind of in there goofy. It's not really made contact proper. So here's a new one. So this has 2 magnets on the inside. This one has 0 because this had no stator on it. Usually there was one in there, but there's nothing in this one. So this is going to replace that deal. We'll do the timing key. I got to get this timing key out and put the new one in, and we'll slide this in. First, I'm just going to make sure it fits in there. Yeah, no problem. All right, so we'll pause for a minute while I get this out. I got to get a hammer and a screwdriver and gently tap that old timing key out of there. The next phase is to install our coils, which are going to bolt into these 4 bosses that are already on the motor. So we'll press the easy button again. So these are the starting coils, and decide on the orientation of these to keep the wiring away from everything. So I think it's going to go up here, like that, and this one's going to go down here, like that. I'll try to get that away from that. Yeah, I think that's how it's going to go. If I reverse it the other way, then the wire is sticking out the wrong way. We want this wire to come out over here. So if I do it that way, it's kind of goofy, so it has to go this way. Just dry fit it right now just to make sure everything works. We're not kinking any wires. Nope. Oh, I guess I should make sure that these threads are proper. Yeah, that's good. And there's even a little boss on the back of this thing that kind of forces you to put it together in this way. So it kind of takes the potential for mistakes out of the way. When I do these, I'm going to put a little bit of Loctite on them, just to make sure you don't want these things loosening up when you're going down the road. Yeah, what size am I going to use here? Okay, 10 millimeter. Yeah, 10 millimeter. Okay, so there's that. And then this, I think, let me look at this here, because this is going to tell us where it comes out of the body here. Not the body, but the... Okay, yeah, so down here, there's a little passageway right here. There's a little indent. And that's where the wire is going to come out. So, to hook it into your wiring harness. Okay, so that's pretty simple. I'm going to take this apart and put some blue Loctite on it now. This is aluminum, so you don't want to over tighten it. You don't want to strip out the threads, but you want it snug. Good. Okay. I don't know what the recommended torque is. I don't know if there is a recommended torque. We're just snugging them down. And that blue Loctite should help us. Okay, cool. So let's tilt the motor up this way and get my little timing key for here. Actually, let me just make sure this spins on here freely without hitting anything. Yeah, that looks good. We're going to want to keep that out of the way of everything. Put that around that. Okay. If I can somehow hold that wire. Okay. Timing key time. Okay, so here's the package that this comes with from NR Racing. It says remove flywheel using impact wrench and knocker. We do not recommend pullers. Looking at the flywheel side of motor, install timing key with the notch part to the left. Install flywheel and rotate as much as possible counterclockwise, or CW. After flywheel is installed, use a flashlight and looking in key slot. Make sure flywheel is rotated, installed as shown. Okay, and install and tighten nut. It's funny, it doesn't tell you how much to tighten the nut. But as long as you've got it indexed properly and cranked over to the correct direction, then you should be good. Let's get this out of here. So there's the new one. The old one was on the bench a minute ago. Here it is. So the old one's just pretty much just flat, and the new one's just got a notch on it. If you can see that in the camera. Anyway, see if we can make this install proper. Just install it as shown. A scudge in there, dirt, dust, whatever. Really only went get it down in there. Just using the screwdriver to kind of press it in. Hopefully I can get it down deep in there. Okay guys, so my phone was running out of storage, so what I decided to do is I was worried about this cable with all the wires in it rubbing in flywheel, because when I put the flywheel on it was really close. So I took this little wire clamp thing out and drilled the hole out to a 5/16 hole, clipped off this little clip which we're not going to use anyway. We're going to use bullet connectors. So we're going to feed that through here, and that hopefully will keep the wire away from the spinning flywheel. So this flywheel spinning on your wire, not a good thing. So anyway, that's there now, and the timing key is in it. And I decided to go ahead and use the original air part or fan. So we'll get this on here, clock it. When you put it on, clock it counterclockwise so that the little flat part is against this side of it, the right side as you're looking at it. So put this in here. Magnets are contacting things in here, making it kind of hard to put it in. Go, and it says to look in there and make sure that you can see that little piece laying against the, this would be the right side of that little opening. And so this is in there. It's away from everything. It's actually touching that wire. I'm not going to get that wire away from there. Okay, hold on. Well, plan B. Let's go through here. There's a little breather hole right here for the air. Let's take the wire right through there. That way that thing does not ever come in contact with your wiring. That'd be bad. Okay. Alright, so let's fish that down through here, right where the wire goes for the coil, or the, what's the coil, again, whatever that thing is. Spark. Creates a spark for the motor. Yeah, that'll work. That looks nice. That fits down in there. You can bring it right through here. You're going to use this little dealio to secure it. So, hey, there you go. Cool. That'll work. All right. Got that out of the way. So let's try that again. Okay. Clockwise. This dude on here. So this little triangle, there's a bottom boss here which fits in that boss. I'm doing something wrong again. What did I do wrong last time? This way. So that way it's all lined up in here. This kind of little triangle shape fits over that piece. And your cap goes down. There's little bosses in there to line all that up. There's 3 bosses in this little tang, which all line up in this thing here. Kind of hard to put it back together wrong. I guess you could put it back together wrong, but you're not paying very good attention. Alright, so there's that. Let me get a that's down. Next thing we're going to do is torque this to 54 foot-pounds. Get my torque wrench out. Okay, well here's something I just discovered. So on the back of the flywheel fan, there's these 3 little bosses. And on the back of the new one, there's 2. And it looks like they've ground off 1 or 2 others. So on the new flywheel, the bosses are in a different location. So there's 3 on here. On the new one, there's 4 of them, and they're in different spots. So using the bottom one as an index, which is where this one is at, that fits fine. And there's one over here, so we're going to take the other one off. This one's already been modified, but since I'm not using it, this one being the bottom because it's below this, directly below this Y part, I'm going to grind off this one because it doesn't want to line up with the bosses on there. So I'm just going to sand it off and make it fit. So we hit that with a flapper disc and just rub that piece right off of there, so now it ought to fit. I realize you don't have a very good angle for viewing this right now, but we'll put this back on. Yeah, that's right. There. Actually, I'm going to make sure that little, I've had this on and off now a couple times. I'm going to make sure that little timing key is in the right spot. It didn't rotate it around on us. Otherwise, it's kind of a waste of time. Flashlight, there we go. Yep, it's still in the same spot, so I didn't move it, so that's good. I'd rather double check now than have not sleep tonight worrying about it. Okay, there's that. Now I got the torque wrench set at 54 pounds. If I can hold it at the same time and get it to torque or not. If I need to put something, I'm going to put something in here to hold it. Let me see what I can figure out here. And no good way to grab onto anything here. Oh, I got an idea. Got a magnet. I use this adjustable. It's really for like. This is going to fit on here or not. Let's see. Maybe not be big enough. Get in there. Gonna fit. Is it gonna fit? Is it gonna fit? Oh man, it's not clicking. Why are we clicking? Oh, that's pretty damn tight. Is it not clicking? Oh, there you go. Okay, now we're there. All right, so that worked. All right. That's pretty good. Okay. What's next? Okay, so I was checking the gap at the ignition coil, or spark coil, I guess you would call it, right here. So these two magnets pick up the spark from the magnet that goes around the outside to generate the spark for the motor. And you want that to be at 6,000. So I've got that feeler gauge, already checked it, it's fine. It's actually just right on both sides. So somebody on the internet said, hey, a business card works just fine too. And so a business card does work just fine. So there's our club card. There's my email address if you want to contact me regarding anything. If you need parts lists, plans, that sort of stuff. Just happy to hear from you if you guys are building cycle carts. Anyway, carrying on. I'm going to put the cover back on now, and then we'll drain the oil out of it and take the other side apart next. Okay, so we got the pull start side put back together with the new flywheel. So now we're going to take this case side off to get to the governor wheel, or the little gear that's inside here. So I've already kind of cracked these loose. I bolted down to the bench. So I drained the oil out of it. I take all these little bolts out. There are 6 of them. 2 in the bottom, 2 in the middle, and 2 on the top. And I don't have new gaskets. I'm hoping this gasket will not tear when I pull it out. So we shall see. If it does tear, I can still do everything and then just get the gasket and put it back together later. It's not the absolute end of the world. But it just stops us for a day or two until I can get a gasket out of the mail order. Unless I can find one locally. Pretty long bolts. Looks like they got a little thread locker on them maybe. I think that's attached to the motor. That's attached to the here. Yeah. A little tight. Go around and pry it up all the way around. The crankshaft to come out with it. I don't think that comes out with it, does it? There we go. Okay, good. Okay. Yeah, that gasket's a little torn in a couple spots, so I will get a new gasket before I put this all back together. can see where it's been leaking a little bit. So you want to keep all that in place. You don't want the cam and all that stuff to come out. In fact, this is strange. So let's look inside here. There's a little piece of plastic. If you can see it, there's a little plastic something sitting down in there already. That shouldn't be there. The rest of this looks pretty clean. So what we're taking out is that little pulley back in there. Let me see, am I pointing at it? Little white plastic gear. We're taking that out, and that arm that's attached to it. And then we'll tap and put a little bolt in there to seal it up. So there's lots of videos on removing this on the internet, so I'm not going to show you every little bit of it. I'm just going to show you that I'm doing it. Alright, so I'm going to turn the camera off and get to it. Okay, so I got the governor gear off, which is this little part here, and that little plastic piece I found on the bottom was actually part of that. It's a little thing that goes over that, but it was actually laying on the bottom of the motor. Didn't appear to have any damage to it, so I guess it wasn't in the works. It was just sitting in the bottom. So that came off this shaft right down there, and this hole at the top that the arm came out of, I tapped that with a 1/4-20 and put a bolt in it with some thread sealer. So that little nut right there, right there. So 1/4-20 thread and some sealant, and that's done. Now you can remove this low oil sensor. I was watching Red Beer's Garage on tips on how to do this. He removes this, and then he taps and threads a hole here. But as long as you unhook this wire right here and remove this little piece, that's your, oh sorry, cut this wire, or don't unhook it rather. Because when your cart goes around a corner really hard, your motor will stall if you don't unhook this. So this is basically a secondary kill switch. If your motor tipped over or something like that, but it's really for mini bikes and stuff that, most mini bikes when they corner, they twist sideways, right, so they don't set that off. But for what we're doing, you could remove this, but like I said, then you got to seal this hole. Don't think we need to mess with it. It doesn't hurt anything being in there. It's just screwed into a boss, and maybe able to save a couple ounces, but I'm not going to mess with it. All my other ones, I just unhook it. So to get this thing off is a bit of a bear. There's this little tiny clip, a little tiny metal clip, circle. It's not even a circlip. I don't know what you would call this thing. If I get up my hand to show you what it is, a little piece of wire. And Red Beer's Garage, sorry that's not focusing. Red Beer's Garage says just take a screwdriver, flathead screwdriver, and try to get between the little circlip and the rod it's on and hit it with a hammer until it pops off. And it does take a few blows, but it does come off. But then this doesn't want to come off. So what I did was I took a pair of channel locks, clamped it onto the edge, channel locks outside the motor, and then put another pair of pliers on the channel locks. And Dennis Thomas showed me this, and you hit with the hammer and it pops right off. And to get this little arm out, this is the arm that I had to do that 1/4-20 tap to seal. This, can I get this thing to focus? This little thing you have to cut off with a cutoff wheel or a die grinder or something. Cut that little tip off that sticks out of the motor. Otherwise there's not enough room for it to drop out. And if it doesn't drop out, it gets in here and it will hit everything in here. So actually, when I found out when I first took this apart, this was not actually even connected to anything. It was just hanging in there. And so that's why the throttle mechanism on this motor wasn't working. This wasn't moving like it's supposed to. It was just sitting in there loose. So that was a problem all along with this motor. Probably why it never ran right for the other guy. So, at any rate, that's where we are now. I'm going to seal this up. I'm just going to use some gasket maker because I don't have a proper gasket. Hopefully that'll seal it up. If not, we'll go back and redo it. But for now, gasket maker it is. And we'll get moving on to the next thing. Alright, so I went ahead and put the side case back on. Use some form of gasket. That may or may not hold. We'll find out here soon. I'll report back if it does not hold. I did order an extra gasket just in case. Have to take that out. We got that put back together. I still need to put oil in it. And I went ahead and put the new carburetor on and the air filter adapter. This just goes back on the same way your old one came off, so pretty straightforward. This is the carburetor I went with. So it's a slightly larger bore clone carburetor. This is the Stage 2, from the Stage 2 kit from NR Racing. There's their logo right there. Great company. I bought parts from them for years. So that's a nice looking carburetor. So there's the new carb. Bolts right onto this stuff. Same hardware. This little hold down here for your choke, which you use the original choke piece. So that's there. And use it. You don't have to change out these. If this is a Honda, you might have to change out. I'm not sure how this works. Sometimes you have to change out one of these bolts. See, they're different lengths. This is longer than this one. That's one difference in the Honda. I think the Hondas are both the same length. So I've got more to do. I've got a filter for the valve cover, and I've got a header, and I need to get the gas tank back on, but I'm waiting for a delivery of new fuel line. The old fuel line, I'll show you over here, is getting pretty dry and brittle. If you look at it, there's some damage on it. It's pretty hard feeling, starting to crack, and the gasket, or the little vent up here, is actually torn already. So this rubber, I think this thing sat outside for a bit of time in the elements. So new fuel line coming for that. So part 2 of this video, we'll go over that. We'll go over the gas tank installation with the new fuel line, and putting this filter on, and then wiring up the electrical for this, because right now all the wires are just kind of hanging out here. So I've got the coil wires, or for the you know, to create power, and then the wire coming off the coil pack, or the starter, or the this runs back all the way from the front of the motor off that one magnet that's over there that creates a spark, and that goes into your kill switch. So this guy's had this kill switch this used to be wired into here anyway, so this is all part of the kill switch circuit. So we'll rewire all that on the next video. So guys, thanks for watching. Subscribe, like, all that jazz. We've got more coming up on this build, and as you can see, we got the floor in the cart, so we're making some progress. We'll have this thing on its wheels pretty soon, waiting on a few more parts to show up in the mail. And thanks for watching, everybody. Have a great day.